Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Champions Podcast. I'm Heather, and
Sham Squires.
we also have a friend of mine that we're excited to have today. I know him as NK, Nick Kelly, and we're so excited to have him share his story and his creativity and just how he impacts others. And so, Nick, welcome to the podcast. Get into your story and what all the awesome things that go on in your life.
All right. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. It's definitely a pleasure. I don't even know where to start, so I'll start from the beginning. So I was born March 16th, 1987. I have cystic fibrosis. I was actually diagnosed at 3 months. But the interesting part about that is back then they didn't think African Americans could have the disease, so no one would test me. So it was actually my mother who diagnosed me. So that's always an interesting start to my story, that my mother was the one who did the research. She found the symptoms and she diagnosed me. And that kind of tenacity is really the launching point for everything that I became. Having that tenacity, having that vigor, that passionate spirit that has carried me into every part of my life. Growing up, I was an athlete, and so I was able to do athletics. I was all state in wrestling. I was a baseball player. I've done most things competitively. I'm super competitive. Like I want to win at everything. Like I believe losing is worse than winning. Like so, I would if I love winning, but I hate losing more. So that's one of the things that always triggers me. And so outside of my athletics ability, I'm huge into the arts. So I'm a person who loves the arts. I've grown with the arts and they've grown with me. My first love has always been poetry, and I am a poet through and through. I love it. Some of my best work has come off the cuff, just freestyling and being able to be in the moment. And from there, I was a professional dancer for 12 years. So I did hip hop, lyrical, and expression. Love to dance. I love to be able to showcase passion. That's what purpose looks like to me, being able to showcase passion. And I love being able to express my movement. Sometimes I don't have the words, or sometimes I feel bottled up, and dance allows me that release. I also draw, although I haven't done that in a few years now, but I do draw. I'm a professional DJ. I actually DJ one of the biggest parties on New Year's Eve this year, so that was really fun for me. It's been a while since I got out there and DJ, so that was really exciting for me. And then I do photography. Photography was something that I picked up that I didn't even think I would like. It was kind of just in between time. And I just took to it. I gravitated. Being able to snapshot those moments in time was always something that was really powerful to me. You know, I always tell people the mark of a good photographer is how they capture a moment and how they make that moment feel tangible. You know, that's one of the biggest things. I want to be able to feel that moment when I look at that picture. So that's one of those things that has really been there for me. And then clothing design, I love fashion. I design my own clothing. I have a clothing line. And each one of these things is a part of me. Each one of these things is a part that makes up the pieces that build Nick together. And that doesn't include my more academia side, as I'm a dietitian by profession. So, and then public speaker by trade. So I travel the country doing different talks. And that's probably where most of my time goes at this point. It's the thing that I spend most of my time doing, the thing that I really enjoy the most. I love being able to share my knowledge and expertise. So being able to do that has been really beneficial for me, and something I just love to do. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. I could go on and on, but that's kind of
Yeah,
me
yeah,
in
yeah. We know you can because you're just
a very large nutshell.
you like all the stuff you do. I remember when I first met you, I was like, my gosh, she just is busy all the time. Just, I mean, I can just imagine your brain constantly spins with ideas between all of the stuff you do. And you also have a cookbook as you did for like high calorie. And then
Yes.
you have your amazing children's books that is Susie Magoo, right?
That is correct. So yes,
Yes.
I am on there. So
So
I
I
have
want you to
three
say what
children.
those are about, because those were just like, especially to the CF community, we were blown away with the creativity with that.
So Miss Messy Susie Magoo. There's three books. The first book goes over the huff cough, or we call it the cuff cough. The second book is about airway medications. So your albuterol, your Dornase, your hypertonic, and your antibiotics. And then the third one is on enzymes. And so Miss Nessie Susie Magoo is a little girl with cystic fibrosis who learns different therapies and learns about her CF in a very fun and exciting and non-scary way. And so that was always the biggest thing about when doing Susie Magoo is we always wanted, me and my co-author, we always wanted to make it light. We wanted to take the fear away and really make it joyful. And that was something that was big. And then the illustration, I'm actually the co-illustrator of the books. So that was something that when I was doing the illustrations, that was something big for me. I wanted to be vibrant. I wanted to be lively. I wanted to be colorful. You know, I drew all the characters. So just having things that look fun and can be relatable. So that's where those are. So those are the Susie Magoo books. And then as I mentioned, my cookbook is for high calorie and comfort food. So that was a 7-year project that I don't even know how I did it. I'm not gonna lie. It was one of those things that so many times I just thought about stopping, and so many times during the process I was like, "Man, I'm over this. I don't want to do this." And I just put so much time and effort to it that I had to see it through. And the final result is something I'm really proud of.
And going through all that you've been through, obviously with CF and pursuing, a career and all that, I imagine for like me with writing and songwriting and music, is such a coping mechanism. Have you found that through all your creativity that although you're doing it in a way to help other people, you're almost just helping yourself?
Absolutely. I think for me, dance was that coping mechanism for a long time because, as I said, bottled up, it was able a way to like release. I was able to let it go. I was able to find ways of frustration, anger, misunderstanding. I was able to put that in a physical form and really feel the way it goes, really let it go. And so that was what dance was for me. That's how me and dance, the love between dance started and where it grew because I was able to use that as a primary coping mechanism.
And I don't know if you know, and I'm sure you do with the dance community, the dancer Stephen Twitch Boss, as they called him. He almost, you remind me of him in the way you talk about passion and just, I've seen your dance, obviously, and you move in a way similar to his in the fact that when I'm watching it, I can sense that passion. You're not just doing it to, put on a show. You're actually feeling every movement throughout your limbs. And I just find that really, really inspiring. Did you ever think, like, obviously you've had opportunities you probably never thought you'd have. Is there one that you can think, like, back on and say, oh my gosh, I just can't even believe that happened to me?
Dancing for Summer Jam. That would be the one. I opened up. I was part of a visual performing arts company that opened up for Kurt Cobain's Juicy J, and that was huge. Like that was a huge estate park, like a opening full of thousands and thousands of people as far as I can see back. And that was the moment for me. I was like, wow, I'm doing this. This is more than just an idea. So that one, and the second part would be there was a stretch for a year where dance paid all my bills. So being able to do what you love and being the sole income, the sole thing that pays your bills was really, I was able to say, like, I am a professional. This is literally my job pays my bills. And so those were the two moments for me that like I was like, I never would have, you would have told me that. I would have been like, no, no way.
Yeah, and I know we live like with the obviously the unfortunate stigma around CF that, oh, you can't pursue anything if you have CF. And obviously, everybody's journey is different. Some people are able to do all of those things, and then some people are too sick to do those things. I think it's just so cool that even though you may have your hurdles that you go through with CF, that you just never gave up and said, okay, well, I'm just not going to do this. I'm not going to pursue it anymore. That's just so inspiring because I have that same mentality. Like, yeah, today's hard, but I'm not giving up on what I want to do. There's a reason I've been born to be able to share this. And so I find that really inspiring. I just think you're awesome anyway because everything you do is just so creative. I mean, it's just like I say everybody can't be born with all that creativity, but some people are, and it's so powerful when you use it. And I know you probably don't even know how many people like are being touched. You probably are like me where you think, oh, well, it's just something I do, but I'm sure there's been so many people that have just been mesmerized by seeing you dance or hearing you speak, and maybe they're saying, okay, I can do that too. And so that's really cool. Champ, I'm not going to hog all the questions because I know you're burning up over there with one to ask him. So I'm going to let you ask him.
I am. It's kind of funny because I find Nick, I find you so intriguing. I do. You are, as you're sitting here talking, I'm like, okay, he does that, he does that, he does that, he does that. I mean, what is something that you can't do? And I don't know. I don't know. Is it just where do you think that drive came from to want to do so many things, but none of those things are too much. They all seem to give you a sense of purpose and drive and meaning. And so, have you ever thought that it was like, has someone ever said, do you think that's a little too much, or can you back off and give one thing to this instead of pouring all of the things into one hat?
So I'll answer in two parts.
Okay.
First, the thing that drives me is legacy. That's the thing that fuels me. That's the thing that makes me want to be better than the day before and challenges myself to be better than I am today. So legacy is what it is. And then, I've had people tell me all the time, like I do too many things or you can't be great at these things. And I tell people all the time, like, when people call me a jack of all trades, I tell them, no, I'm not. I'm actually someone who was blessed enough to find multiple passions and patient enough to perfect them. I spent a lot of energy working on my passions and being able to perfect them. And I'm always learning, I'm always growing. So there was never a moment where I was like, I was complacent with my skill set. A jack of all trade, master of none is to me, that's an indictment on how much work I put into balancing and managing my passion. They're more than just they're extensions of me. They're more than just a thing I do. And so like I can't be a master of none of the thing that is a part of me. I'm a master of me, and these things are part of me.
And so you seem to hold that in intention pretty well of realizing that all these things aren't definitive of you. They're just a part of you and they come out in various forms and styles. Would that be fair?
Absolutely. They are a part of me and they come out in various different ways. So that's absolutely true.
I
And you
think
talk about even because obviously we know with, as you said, your mom is the one that diagnosed. When we think about the CF population, and I remember even years ago learning there was African Americans with CF, and I started becoming friends with you guys. There's not just you, there's Anthony, and there's this person, and there's this person. And I start thinking, wow, I didn't even know either until years ago. And I guess maybe, the research has just taken off over the last few years, it seems, even with finding out stuff. And even like I found out there's a way that you don't have to exactly have full blown CF, but you can have basically what mimics it, and all those things. Um, I guess too that must mean such a, as you talk about legacy, that must mean so much to you, especially as an African American and having CF, to kind of be that face of you can succeed, you can thrive, you can get through this, and kind of be that face, if that makes any sense, for that. And I obviously don't see color. I see, you as Nick, but you know what I mean, is like just being the face of, like for me, it would be the face of transplant.
Mm.
I guess that's where your legacy, does that have a more emphasis on that, to say like, I want people to see this side of it, to know that that exists with CF?
For me, one of the biggest things is to try to be a positive influence in whatever space I'm in.
Mm.
I really am an advocate for research. And one of those big things, because you don't see minorities in research enough. You don't see them in the displays, you don't see them in the clinics, you don't see them in the study participation. So I'm a big proponent of research. So for me, it was a while before I kind of start embracing the face of CF type of idea. And because I was just me. And for a long time, I didn't want to be identified as that. And then I remember my cousin texted me one day, and it was right after I was on TV. And he texts me and goes, "Hey, cuz, how's it feel to be the black face of CF?" And I'm like, I never thought about it. Like I didn't give it much credence. I just knew I had CF and I knew I was doing things. But as I've been able to connect with people and realize a difference is being made, embrace the idea of being one of the faces of CF, and pride myself on having that ability. It was actually funny. My cousin was doing a project on CF, and she went to Chat GTP and asked them to find the image of CF, and my face popped up.
Oh, that.
So there's like, well, ain't no hiding it now. Ain't no denying it now. Chat GP got me. I mean, that's how you know it's real. Mama, I made the big leagues.
Mama, I made the big leagues. That's priceless right there. Oh my gosh. Uh, being being in the minority, Nick, of the CF community, and I just see your optimism. So there's two parts to this question, I guess, too, in the sense that, do you think your optimism is a choice, or is it something that you were just blessed with from the beginning, and so you saw it as kind of an opportunity, or do you think it's a choice? And part two of that is, what is what when you get frustrated with the CF, or with not being able to accomplish maybe everything that you hoped to do, how do you reconcile those two things, between the optimist and the one who has kind of laid the foundation, the legacy, but also there are those challenges that build you even stronger than you were when you started, if that makes any sense. How do you do those? How do you do that well? Because that's easy
So,
to do.
so for the first answer is optimism is always a choice. You can choose to be half full or half empty. You can choose that. And how you choose to navigate it, which goes into the second question, is you have obstacles. Everyone has obstacles. It's natural. So you're going to have obstacles. How you choose to endure them. I look at obstacles as just another opportunity to be great. And so having that ability to say this is what my challenge is, this is what my challenges be, but I can be better than that. I can overcome that. I can supersede that. And that's where my optimism comes in. You know, it's a rough life. It can be tough. I've lived a life, as they say, but I pride myself on the same way I pride myself on people not knowing I'm sick. And that's, I could be in the hospital and I pride myself on people not knowing I'm sick or looking at me as sickly. That's something that I've always prided myself on. So that just comes with mind state. How you choose to approach the mind state, how you choose to take on the mind state. That's going to be the most important part.
And what would you say? No, no, Heather, I'm over here challenging the questions because I'm like, Nick is just intriguing to me.
No, I love it. I told you he was awesome.
Yeah, I do love this, and you will be back. You're the first one that I say will be back, absolutely, because I think I love the way that you are able to address the question, but also acknowledge the reality of the answer. Um, so the next thing I think I would say is how do you address the naysayers or the negative or the doubter or the doubt of even for yourself? How do we address those things? Because I see a lot of people in today's world and today's society, whether it's physical sickness or just life challenges as is, or the world's, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, oh my gosh, the chicken little reality is real for some people. How do you address that for that person? And how do you kind of walk with people to give them that sort of same optimism or share that? Maybe not give it to them, but share that same manner of optimism with folks.
So I'm going to say this, but I don't. And the naysayers, I don't address them because I, I think, in my opinion, allow your success to be seen and not heard. And
I love
so
that.
when people see my success, people see my successes, it forces them to realize, oh, he really meant what he was talking about. He showed up, and I'm going to continue to show up. And so the people who doubt me, all right, cool. I appreciate y'all. Y'all just get to look silly later.
I
I
love
love that.
Because when I'm gonna do what I said, like the cookbook. It took me a long time to get there, but I said I was gonna do it and I did it. I said I was gonna have a children's book. I did it. I said I was gonna do these things. I manifested it before it even happened. Like even my TED Talk. I wrote my TED Talk almost a year before I actually got one because I just knew I was gonna get it. It never was a question if. It was just a matter of when. Because I knew the hard work I was putting in there and I knew the energy I was putting out there to make that happen. And so for the doubters, and that goes for whoever, family, friends, like it doesn't matter. If you doubt me, that's just an opportunity for me to prove you wrong with my success, not with anything else.
I think you need some new merch. I think you need like a T-shirt that says
I want
"Doubt
some
me,
merch.
you're gonna
I
look
want some
silly
merch.
later."
Sell me some merch. I'll buy some daggum merch. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, and
Oh,
that's such a good mentality because I kind of feel that same way of obviously there's always going to be some negative person in life that thinks they know your illness or what you're capable of or what you're not capable of. And I say the same thing. I don't stay up at night worrying about them people. I really don't because they don't have any effect on my life, and if they are somebody in my close circle, then why are they saying that anyway? I always say surround yourself with people that lift you up and encourage you. But I think that's like I think the title of this podcast episode needs to be "Doubt Me and You'll Look Silly Later." I love that so much.
I love
That's
that.
such a polite way to say it too, Nick. I have to say that.
Oh my gosh. What? Wow, you're just. mm. What would you have said, or Nick, what would you say to a younger version of yourself now?
What would I say to a younger version of me? You know, so many things happen for a reason, and that's helped shape my arc. The reason I started public speaking happened from the worst thing that happened to me. Um, the reason also that I became one of the faces of CF happened as a byproduct of the worst thing that happened to me. Growing up, I never wanted to be identified as CF. I never wanted to be identified. Most people who know me in my younger years still have it hard to believe like how out there I am racing forward. And so, the idea of my younger me, I would love to tell myself, go for this sooner because of the impact I could make, but I don't know if it would have been as impactful because of what spawned it. It was different, like coming through pain. This was forged in fire, literally. And I'm not sure if I would have
That'll preach. That'll preach.
I don't know if I would have that same fire if I just would have told myself, all right, Nick, go ahead and do this in my younger years. I don't know if I was there. I don't know if I was mentally ready. I don't know if I was physically ready. I don't know. I mean, I could have been. That's, because I don't know. But so that's where it's hard to say what I would tell my younger years to say. But I would love for them to know that when you get sick, make sure you stay true to who you are at your core. That that is probably something I would say, just because
right there. Oh my
you
God.
get mean when you get sick. There's so many, and that's something I always worry about is getting so sick that I lose sight of who I am at my core. And so that's something I would always remind myself, because I started to get sicker as I got older. It's a natural part of the progression. So, I was at the point where I was spending every 3.5 months in the hospital at 31 days length of stay. So I was spending, easily a third of my year in the hospital consistently sick. And if you're spending a third of your year, I'm sick about another 2 to 2.5 months off of that. So we're looking at every six months out of the year, I'm sick. That's a long time to be sick. So telling myself, even though you're going to be sick, it's not enough. No one's going to fret for you if you don't do what you do. They'll give you an excuse, but they won't give you a pass. So that's something that for me has been really viable to understand. Like, the world doesn't stop just because you get sick.
All right, I have one more question, and I'm gonna let you close this one out because I can talk to this.
Yeah, Nick's over here dropping truth bombs one after another today.
Like I want to what? No, this is gonna be a blunt one. And I think Heather's gonna ask, what does it mean for you to be a champion too? Because the name of the podcast there. Hint, hint, no pun intended. But I think the last thing I would like to ask you, just because you've been able to drop the truth bombs left, right, and center, is this. What do you want to be remembered for? Like, what do you want your life to say? What do you want me, what would you want me to remember about today? What do you want people to remember about who you are as a person? Because you're unforgettable. That's a clear, definite. So what do you want me to know about you?
The thing I always want people to take away from, if you don't know anything about Nick Kelly, if you don't remember anything about it, the one thing I want you to remember is Nick lived with passion.
Love that.
That's the one thing I always want people to remember. Nick lived with passion. Nick was driven by passion, and his drive came from passion. That's how he lived. That's the one thing I want people to always take away from me. Nick lived with passion, because everything else is everything else.
Well, I think you do have that passion, and for me, you like Champ said, you're unforgettable. There's no denying that. Just it's not just your talents and your crafts. It's just the mentality you have, the personality you have. I can resonate with that so much of knowing how do you get through those rough times and keep going. How do you enjoy the good times? I mean, as CF people, we talk about this often, but we're always waiting for that other shoe to drop. But we don't want to get so caught up waiting for that other shoe to drop that we can't enjoy the now, because we never know what next week can bring. But we have to learn to enjoy the now so that we're not so anxious about what could or could not happen. And I had someone tell me this one time that was a transplant friend. She said, don't worry about what hasn't happened yet. And I try to remind myself of that all the time. Just focus on the now. Don't have anxiety about what hasn't happened and presented itself yet. You know who you are, you know how to get through these challenges. And so emotionally, like you say, you spent so much time in the hospital. I've been that same way. It's hard to stare at those four walls for so much time, and in a way, it's kind of like a prison, I say to us. Now, obviously, don't know what it's like to go to prison, but a lot of us say the hospital room feels like a prison because we're isolated. Maybe we're not able to go around the hospital like some people because of our immune system and all that stuff. And I take it from you, just with all that you do, it's an escape. It's an escape from just the reality of maybe the CF progression. It's an escape from, maybe it's just for an hour, maybe it's for 2 hours of the day, just getting your mind off of CF. And I think that's so important sometimes, because obviously we have to think about it, but not consuming ourselves to the point that we start spiraling.
Mm.
And so I just want to thank you so much for just being vulnerable and being that face for CF, which I need to go on Chat GBT and look you up now, because
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna be
do
like,
that.
I know him. But yeah, I
I'm gonna
just
do
I
that
just
after.
really think you're awesome, Nick. And since the day I met you, I could sense that passion. And I know it's been a few years now since we've known each other, and I just admire you so much with how you just continue to push on and all the
Heather,
stuff you do. You actually inspired me to, me and Nora trying to come up with trying to do a children's book, hopefully. And I never thought I'd be an author, but it's an outlet. And so I want you to share real quick too where people can find, like if they want to watch your talks or your dance or get your books, or how they can go about doing that.
I need some merch. Give me some merch, boy. Give me some merch.
So you can find everything you need at nicholaskellyrd.com. So that's nicholaskellyrd.com. That's where you can find my cookbooks. You can find links to my children's books. You can find some of my hats, my merch. So that's where you can find everything just on my site. And then you'll be able to find links to my YouTube to watch more of my speaking, more of my dance. So, and some of my poetry as well. So just it's the one-stop shop for all you need.
Well, thank you, Nick, for coming on here, and just keep being you. You're awesome, and I'm proud to call you a friend. And you're inspiring to so many people, and I wish you to keep having success and just keep grinding. I know you will, because that's what you do. And everybody go check out his stuff, because you won't regret it. He's very creative, like I said, and he's got that passion. And remember, if you doubt Nick Kelly, you're gonna look silly. So I hope y'all enjoyed this episode, and check back next week.
Thank you for having me.